Watch this. It's amazing.
Oh, fantastic. All right, so we said articular
You're
cartilage.
on a 0.
Right? And so that acts as a shock absorber. It also allows you to glide, the joint to glide without any friction there. Either the next one or the one before. There's another one. Yeah. So here is the cow leg we're working with. And we're at about that red line is the top here. So this part's really nasty, so I covered it so y'all didn't have to look at it. But so this joint is equivalent to our wrist in a cow. And the joint that I'm going to open down here is equivalent to the one right at your finger, your knuckles. We call that, it's a long name. You ready for it? $20 word. Metacarpal phalangeal joint. Metacarpal phalangeal joint. Wonderful. All right.
0. 0.
So what I'm going to do.
Start.
What'd you think it was going to do? All right. So this is the joint. Hey.
0 now.
All right,
0
so
now.
listen or we can stop.
0
This is
now.
the joint that's bending is the one I'm going to open. How many of you think there's going to be blood in here when I cut into it? Okay, well, let's find out.
Quiet.
I'm left-handed, so I don't know how much I'm able to see.
You got it on the screen.
It's not easy to open a joint because there's a lot of ligaments that hold it together because your joints aren't supposed to come apart.
Oh, God.
Omar, great job. Shimon, great job.
Yeah, I'm recording over your shoulder. Sorry. No pressure.
It's coming. All right, you can kind of see it, but I'm going to open it all the way. All right. Was there any blood? Not a lot, right? Not a lot of blood. You don't have blood in your joints. You're not supposed to. Not in your joints. Whoa!
0s.
A lot of questions. All right, we'll get to your questions.
0s.
Huh? Oh, that's what they mean. Okay.
Sorry.
I'm like, whoa, too many.
Back to quiet.
All right, so I'm going to show you. See this nice, smooth, glossy surface?
Look
And
on the
there's
screen.
liquid in here too. Do you see that liquid? Yeah. That's called synovial fluid, and it's very stringy. You see that? Kind of like snot, huh? But that liquid that's very viscous is really good at lubricating your joints to allow this friction-free movement. So you can put it back and those condyles go right together and move with no friction at all. And that's what's in every single one of your joints. You've got synovial fluid and you've got a bunch of ligaments holding them together. And no blood. That's why cartilage doesn't really regenerate, because it doesn't have access to blood. So if you damage your cartilage, you don't have a whole lot of options for repair. Eventually you'll need a joint replacement. And that's why people get hip and knee replacements, because they've damaged the cartilage in that joint. All right, does anybody have any questions about this? No. Yes.
Somebody breaks your leg. You know how when they take it to the doctor and they put in like a fake leg? The pieces that's still on your leg, do they just cut it off and numb it?
When you say fake leg, like, I don't know what you mean there.
Because sometimes they'll give you a metal leg or...
Oh, so they don't give you the metal leg. What they do is it's a contraption around your leg that has screws that go through the bone to hold them in place while they heal. So it's still your bones. And I've got some x-rays that kind of look like that. So that might answer your question. Okay.
You want to wrap the top part?
No. Mostly because it like drips and I want to keep the place pretty clean. Yes.
Does our joint look similar to that?
Yeah. So this joint right here, your knuckle, looks pretty much exactly like that.
My knuckles,
This part. If you straighten your fingers and bend that way,
it look like that.
yep, but just much smaller, much smaller. So this is called a condylar joint. And so that's what all these ridges are, condyles. Yes? Why is it stringy? Because it's a more viscous. So viscous means thicker. So who likes syrup on their pancakes? You know it takes forever to come out of the bottle. It moves slow. Well, that's more viscous, right, than water. You dump water out, it moves immediately. Syrup, you got to wait forever. So this is more the consistency of syrup, and that makes for a much better lubricator, so when things rub against each other, they don't cause friction or heat up and damage those tissues. Yes. Oh, yes. To keep it from drying out? Well, it serves a lot of purposes other than reducing friction, but it's not going to dry out because all of your joints are completely closed. So air doesn't get to your joints. But it does help with nutrients, so it provides the cells in the cartilage with nutrients. It also has, the synovial fluid has cells in it that are able to regenerate, and so that helps maintain the health of that joint. But not from drying out because they are completely closed. Yes, you've already asked one, so I'll give you be last.
Do you know the cartilage in your nose? What would happen if you didn't have it?
If you didn't have it, you'd have a floppy nose. So the cartilage that's in your joints is actually the same type of cartilage that's in your nose. And the fancy scientific word for that cartilage is hyaline cartilage. So it looks glassy. And if I were to shave this off, it would look glassy. But in your ears, you can take your ears, you can bend them. They're much more bendy than your nose. That's of a different kind of cartilage. It's called elastic cartilage. And you've got another type called fibrocartilage, but it's not anywhere we can see.
So if you can see on the skull, this right here, that's the only part of your nose that's bone. So from about halfway down to the end of your nose, that's all cartilage. So if you didn't have that, you could imagine what it would look like. See how he's got this hole right here? That's because there's no